Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NBA Front Office Show. I'm Trevor Lane. You can find me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane, joined by Keith Smith at Keith Smith NBA. Oh boy, it's almost here. We've got the schedules coming out shortly after we record this episode. That means the NBA season, it is right around the corner, and we have a ton of news to get into. I don't know, Keith, I'm excited about the schedule coming out, but we know some of the main days already. Like some of the big marquee games have already leaked out ahead of time, which is so on brand for the NBA.
Yeah. My schedule process used to be: are they playing opening night? Are they
Yeah,
playing Christmas Day? Are they playing on MLK Day? Then it would be, all right, when are the Lakers and Celtics games? Because
sure.
I don't care what anybody says, no matter how good those two teams are or not good, because we've experienced that over the years.
Yes, we have.
Those games still mean more, even when they both stunk and were bad at the same time. Those were still big games. So I always look for those. Then I look for when are they here in Orlando, selfishly, so that I know the teams when they're going to be in town here. And then after that, I start looking like back to backs, like clear like schedule disadvantages and those kind of things. There's a really cool app tool site, Presidual does their
Oh,
schedule analysis
yep.
tool, which is huge. Yeah. So I highly encourage everybody go use that later, because you just plug your team in and it'll tell you a million
How
details.
far they travel. That's the one I always
Exactly.
look at. Who
Yep.
travels the most each season?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot of years. Miami tends to be pretty high on the list because they're so buried in the extreme southeast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's in Seattle. It used to always be Portland. I think usually leads the pack on the miles traveled list. But yeah, and then it's all right. When are the teams you only play a couple times? What's the longest road trip? When are those East Coast, West Coast swings for certain teams? So yeah, but you're right. A lot of the fun of it has been taken out by the fact that we know now, like we know what Christmas is. We know,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if it's getting a little silly, like it's when the Magic and Hawks play the first time, like I mean, I don't need to know that.
I
Like,
kind of so here's my thinking on it. Like I understand why the various people that have access, and I've seen some schedule things, but the various people
sure,
who've already seen, because the schedules, it's been basically complete for a little bit now. It's not like
yeah,
it just got it's not like it gets completed and then
no,
they immediately send it out to everybody.
exactly.
So because teams have a chance to look at them and all that kind of stuff. So I
Mhm.
understand the information is going to get out there, and I understand why, if you're somebody who has access to that information, you probably feel the need to put it out there, because let's
Sure,
face it, if you don't do it, somebody else is going to, right?
exactly. Yep,
But
yep,
from the fan perspective, I kind of wish it was just all of what, like opening presents on Christmas morning,
yeah,
just get it all at once, and just get, just turn on the fire hose and get
sure.
the full impact of the schedule dropping, and get to just parse through all of it, instead of for a week we get, oh well, this team's playing this team on this day, or this is what Christmas is, and all that kind of stuff leaking out ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like the Christmas ones in opening day, like I made my peace with that because that's been
Sure.
going on for years. Now that we would get those, I remember that even before like Twitter was a thing. Like you would get those would come out maybe like a couple days in advance of the whole
Yeah.
rest of it. But yeah, it is a little it's a little weird. But the bigger thing is we will know is we're set to record this in the afternoon on Wednesday. Within a matter of a couple hours we're going to be able to start mapping out and planning our lives from mid-October to mid-April.
That's right.
Like that's which is like that's to me. Then it starts the process of, and I like people think I'm nuts. I put every game on my calendar. I have like all 1,230 of them, and I color code them, and I start mapping out like I think I want to watch this because I make a little tracker. So I try to see every team equal amounts and all those kind of things and start building out. So I'll have an idea, starting a little later this evening of, all right, what's my fall, winter and spring going to look like?
It's planning out that future. I'll say you go further in depth with that than I do. Then I'm more of the, hey, who's playing tonight? Let's check this
Yeah.
out. But
Well, it's
but
just nice too because I like being able to like sit down and be like, all right, there's no Celtics game tonight. I'm not going to the Magic game tonight. What do I got? And then I mean, I know I could do it just as easily by pulling up like NBA.com, but I don't
mhm.
know. I like having it all there and being able to see it. And I'm not going to go into it because it's madness that only makes sense to me on the color coding, all this other stuff. But yeah, it's funny. I will say this:
It's your process.
It is my process. So we love nothing if not a tangent on our show here. When you said the fire hose, did you ever see the movie UHF with
I
Weird Al?
didn't,
Oh,
but I know exactly what you're talking about. And you know what? It's very possible that I may have seen it. But that movie is so old that I have no recollection of actually seeing it.
You got to find it and see it because it's really bad, but it's so stupid. It's funny. And there's a scene in that for anybody who maybe wants to remember it fondly. It's I can't remember. He's Stanley, I think is his name. Stanley, the janitor, who they give a kids show to. And he goes, "Oh, you found this prize. You know what that means? You get to drink from the fire hose." And it was like this kid sitting on like it's like a mechanical horse, and then they open a fire hose right into his face and rocket the kid off. It's pretty funny. So that's
children getting injured.
Yeah, nothing makes for better
always great comedy,
value, right? Yeah, exactly. So, UHF, check it out. It's a classic.
All right, I'm sure that clip is floating around somewhere on the YouTube, so we'll have to see if I can find that one. Let's get into today's news, and we've got an update on the Donovan Mitchell situation.
Yeah.
It sounds like
for everybody who says it, no, we didn't start with Kevin Durant today.
That's right.
With 2 topics.
We do have a few before.
So,
that's right.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell.
The world doesn't always revolve around KD. Yeah. It just might
Maybe
a little bit later.
Talk about him today. Spoiler.
Yeah, we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about him. All right, Donovan Mitchell. There are trade talks that have been reinitiated, reignited, whatever phrase you want to use, between the Knicks and the Jazz. However, this was what got me, Keith, because Shams put this out there. We're in this drought of NBA action right now, right? There's not anything going on really. It's just we still have all these teams just staring at each other. It's a staring contest. Everybody knows trades need to happen. There are many teams that need to make trades, and they're all sitting around staring at each other right now, waiting for somebody to blink. And Shams puts this piece out saying the Knicks and the Jazz are talking again. Everybody celebrates. Everybody went, oh, yes, finally, something's going to happen. Let's go. A trade's going to take place. Maybe this will be the catalyst that can unleash it all. Finally, the logjam is going to come free. And then you get about halfway through and it says no trade is imminent. And you just heard, I could hear it. There was a collective groan across the basketball world when they all hit that same point in the article where you went, are you kidding me? Yeah. We're still at the, I'm glad they're talking, but my God, get something done.
Yeah, and I totally get it, right? And it's funny. So some of our some people who are mutual friends of ours, I was talking with them, and we were just like they're just very upset about like this. I'm so tired of this. I don't want to hear anything else until it's done, and all the stuff. Like we're not getting anything. And I was like, we never get anything in August. Like it's always a dead time in August. They said this is just what happened is the last few years of this weird calendar, we got used to the off season's literally a month long and everything has to happen all at once. And that is like, all right, like we got used to, like it was straight through till training camp. Now we're back on the regular schedule. One very, very poor free agent class. The best free agents re-signed with their own teams. And we're like, there was no drama there. But for anybody's thinking, because I've heard a lot of nothing has even happened this summer. There were 18 trades made or agreed to at the NBA draft. Then we got the Brogdon trade. We got the Gobert trade. We got the there was another one, the Nuggets Wizards trade. So we have had a good amount of action. It's just it all happened in the first 3-4 days.
We got the Gobert trade, and then everything stopped.
Yes.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. Well,
thanks a lot, Wolves.
Now, going back to this one on the Mitchell Knicks stuff, Jazz Knicks. My read on this and talking to people around the league is like you just said, everything kind of stopped after the Gobert trade because there was like wait, what now? How many picks and players? Then it turned into a lot of stuff while the whole league was in Las Vegas for Summer League. Then it seemed like everybody kind of collectively said, you know what? We're not getting anywhere. No deals are getting done. Let's all walk away for a few weeks. We're all gonna, go do our things, and then we'll come back together. Because normally, what happens is teams are starting to, at least front office wise, they're coming back together at this point, mid to late August, and they're planning out. They're mapping out their college scouting schedules and all that stuff. But it's also all right. Let's finish out the roster. Like who hasn't signed overseas, post summer league, who's available, what do we need, who we want to get to the G League teams and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But because we've got these couple big names, I think that's why, all right, everybody's back to work now. So now we're back to, all right, what could it be? My guess is, and I mean, this is not, take it for what it's worth because it's just a guess. Them talking is a good thing. Nothing's going to happen today, I don't think, because I don't think the NBA wants anything overshadowing the schedule release.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised end of this week, next week. I know, much to your chagrin, we get a Donovan Mitchell trade, because I think what could happen here is, I think what we'll get is Jazz come down a little, Knicks come up a little. Mm-hmm. They meet, they agree,
off you go.
And off we go. It's done. And then that way you're clear a couple weeks ahead of training, or guys, not training camp, but guys getting back into the local areas. You're clear, and then everybody can move on, and you go. I don't think the Durant thing, I think that's going to take much longer, just because I don't see any easy resolution to that. But I do think the Mitchell one might be getting close. I also, this is probably a repeat here, many repeats maybe. I don't think the Jazz want him going to. I don't think they want to win extra games.
I made that point on a radio hit last night. Same thing. There's the Jazz have incentive to not bring him into the regular season because you'll accidentally win too much.
And if you're the Jazz too, trading Mitchell then fully frees you up to trade Bogdanovich and Conley and Clarkson and Patrick Beverly and maybe Malik Beasley, and really bottom that thing out as far as you can to put yourself in the best possible position in the ping pong ball race to hopefully get that number one pick and get Victor Wembanyama.
I think you're right in terms of this is our reality check of going back into a regular offseason schedule. I think that this has actually been busier than most off seasons because of all the rumors that we've had out there. Typically, all the business is done by like the third week of July. Yeah. In the middle of August, we're sitting around going, well, all right, this guy posted some training video. I guess we can talk about that, right? Like, there's not.
You and I would have had all the offseason reviews done because we would have had no news to talk about.
Oh, we would have had multiple MCU shows by this point too. But right now, because there's been so many rumors. So I think you're right in that we got used to there being more stuff going on at just about all times during the offseason and kind of forgot that this is sort of what it's like. But I also think that's built up in this frustration is that we keep hearing updates on these rumors, but they're not really suggesting that there's any true movement. There's no real progress. We're just hearing, oh, they're still talking. And so people get frustrated, okay, when is this finally going to happen? It's like when you're excited for the next Marvel movie and it just keeps getting postponed and postponed and postponed. People get frustrated, they get upset. We're kind of doing that when we're hearing, oh, there could be a Durant trade up. There could be a Mitchell. Oh, no, wait. No, not imminent. No, not yet. Yeah. But that said,
I get it from like you and I are going to dive in super deep. But like the casual fan is going to be like, oh, so nothing still. Like you just told me a whole bunch of stuff, but nothing. Like now, I don't want to.
I've gotten a lot of that. Where people have been saying, oh, so there's no update. When I'm like, no, actually, there were some actual things here where we got a little bit of insight into what the negotiating stance really is here, and people just take unless it's a deal is done. I've got a lot of people that are now in the category of there's no update then.
Yep, 100%, and it's not just casual fans. I know people who are hardcore into a same level you and I are, who are like, just tell me when it's done. Like I don't want to hear anymore. They're talking now. I don't want to undersell. It is important that like they went weeks without talking. Sorry, the dogs got new bones, so they're like ready to like do battle over these new.
I was gonna say your dogs are upset about a Donovan Mitchell trade not happening either.
They don't. That was me maybe. So
in dog speak, that was I only want to hear about it when it's done. That was what your dog just said.
That's probably where they're at. But I will say, like it is notable that they are talking after
Yes.
which was noted in the piece, weeks of not talking. But to that point, they're talking. There wasn't anything new. Even it would feel even better if it was like the because we got the report the Jazz aren't interested in RJ Barrett. If it was like now the Jazz are interested in RJ Barrett, or the Knicks are
Yeah.
willing to put
We got something
four
like that.
picks on the table or something like that, and all we got is they're talking. So it's like, yeah, we still don't know where these things are at with this, but it's worth us mentioning here, despite the fact that nothing's there, because at least hopefully we're maybe moving in the direction of something happening. Or the other thing could be we could move in the direction of it's we're not going to get there, and it's definitely not going to happen. So
Well,
could have that too.
So my vacation starts tomorrow. And I've been saying for a while now, because I specifically booked my vacation for what is typically an NBA dead zone when there's nothing going on. Therefore, that means that the fireworks are going to start sometime after tomorrow. While I'm gone, it's going to. And fortunately, by the way, front runners, if we want to call you guys, our good friend Ron Gutterman is going to jump on here with Keith. Should any big news happen while I'm gone, and we'll also have some team previews that are out there for you. So the show is not going to shut down just because I'm going to be gone for just a bit.
And guaranteed, one of those pre-recorded team off-season reviews will probably end up wrecked.
Yes.
And if that should happen, we're still going to release it, and then we'll just do a new one.
We'll just do a disclaimer or something like that. But yeah, if we have the Orlando Magic are shockingly going to get involved in a Kevin Durant trade, and then that's going to get released anyway.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Let's talk a little bit about the New Orleans Pelicans, who apparently will not trade Brandon Ingram. This is a Kevin Durant adjacent story here. I don't know. To me, when I read this, I went, okay, so the Pelicans are out on Kevin Durant then, right? I don't see any other way they can get Kevin Durant without including Brandon Ingram. So we can word it this way, but in reality, I see this as Pelicans out on Kevin Durant.
Yeah, and I think the important thing here with this is for this, it came from Christian Clark of the New Orleans Times-Picayune, which is part of why I want to say this because it's just fun to say Picayune. But it is, it was Ingram won't be traded for in a Durant trade. And I'm with you. I think that says, then we're out. Like, there's also the note of they're not sold because they weren't on his list that Durant would be happy to stay in New Orleans either, that's a whole other piece we keep hammering home. You have to factor in here because if, there's no point to trading for him if you're going to turn around and face the same thing. Now, he could get to the Heat or the Suns and who were notably on his list, and that could come back with, I don't want to be here either in a year. Like, I don't know where this whole thing will go, but if you're trading for him and he didn't put you on his list, do so at your own risk.
Exactly. And that's been a real problem for teams that have been looking to put together deals for him. It's because they don't want to be put in that situation where they get Kevin Durant and then wind up right where the Nets are, which is not a good spot to be in. Let's jump over to yours. Should we fire the Kevin Cannon? Let's do it. I'm going on vacation. Let's fire it. Let's fire it off one more time. Here we go. Fire the cannons.
Fire. 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 Fire.
Kevin! All right. So I got to tell you something about the Kevin Cannon. I played the Kevin Cannon for my wife and daughter.
Yeah.
We got thumbs up from Bella. So the tween market is in on the Kevin Cannon. She thought it was hilarious. She thought it was really funny. She's like, that's the kind of over the top silly stuff like kids my age like. So we're doing quite well in the tween market. So that's our key demographic.
More drops to hit our key demographic. Right. That's right. We're looking for tweens who are very into the NBA salary cap.
Because there's tons of tweens.
A lot of those.
We know tweens love to tune into a very long niche basketball show. We know they're thrilled about that one. But no, hey man, you'll know this eventually. Down the line. I'm a little bit further along than you are with raising a daughter, but it is to the point of like if I get a thumbs up or like that was cool or that was funny
Oh,
from right
that's a
now,
home
man,
run.
that's better than
Yep.
banner 18 for the Celtics right now.
Oh,
Like
I spent 13 years teaching junior high. I know.
oh
I
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Like
you
if
know,
you get any
you
kind of
know for that.
enthusiastic
Yep,
reaction, you did.
yep,
Yeah, you did
that's
amazingly
it.
well.
Yeah, I feel really good about it.
Now I don't know if this is going to come through on the broadcast or not, but the Kevin Cannon actually sputtered a little bit on my end.
It did. I
Um,
saw that,
and
but it was
and
good.
I think that's just representative of where things are at right now
I think
with
it
the
was
situation.
intentionally done. Yep.
It was. It must have been because your Boston Celtics reportedly aren't close to a deal. How are you feeling about it? About something including Jalen Brown?
Yeah, so I've long said if it was Jalen Brown for Kevin Durant straight up or just enough to make the salary match, I get it. It's when it becomes Jalen Brown plus that I'm out. Like it's too much. You're getting rid of too many of the things that made you special. He's an injury risk. Great player, but I don't know if I'm getting more than 60 games out of him. They have other guys who are injury risks on the roster. No, like at that point, no, I'm not giving up all my depth that I built over the last few years. That was the best thing Brad Stevens did for this team was rebuild their depth over his year, but really 2 off seasons now into leading the front office. I don't want to give up all that extra stuff just to bring in Kevin Durant because I'm just not sure where that goes. So that's my initial thought is like, nope, I'm good with that. This came from Adam Himmelsbach, wrote for the Boston Globe. He's the Celtics beat writer. Has said Boston isn't close to trading for Kevin Durant, and he also added the Celtics and Nets haven't had any discussions of substance. So it sounds like it was like we said, 29 teams made a call to the Nets, and it sounds like the Celtics were one of those 29, and that it turned into we're not like, here's what it would take. And it might have been, all right, cool. We're not interested. See you later. So I'm guessing other than camp signings and filling out the roster, Celtics are going into the start of next season with things as they are.
Yeah, and I don't blame the Celtics considering, they went to the finals last year. They're not in a situation where they're desperate to make a move or they have to make a move or anything like that. And you can make an argument that a player as young as Jalen Brown is probably a better prospect to keep long-term anyway. He could be on the team for the next 10 years. You can't say the same for Kevin Durant. So there's a real argument to make on both sides. I know it's Kevin Durant. I know he's a legend. I know you increase your chances of winning a championship right now. There's a lot of reasons why you would do this, but I can also understand why you should be a little bit hesitant. And this isn't just a Celtics thing. This is a lot of teams around the NBA that are hesitant right now to go get Kevin Durant because of these factors, what they would have to give up. Is it worth giving up 10 years of Brandon Ingram to get 3 more years of Kevin Durant? Maybe that answer is yes, but when you start stacking up other stuff on top of that, and then you don't know whether or not Durant even wants to be there, that's where you see teams start to recoil from the idea of making a swap here.
No, that's it. It's that 10 years of a player for a guy you might only have for 10 months.
Yeah.
Right. He might be upset, 10 months from now at the end of next season and be like, I don't want to be here either. So yeah, it's really tough from that side. I like I just said, I think the Celtics are gonna roll with what they have. I have a feeling too, we are gonna get an after the fact story that comes out where the Celtics, like everybody else, made the call, and it was the Nets who said, we want Jalen Brown, Marcus Smart, picks, and blah, blah, blah. And the Celtics were like, no. And then they're like, all right, what about Jalen Brown, Derek White, and picks? And the Celtics were like, still no. And then that's where it'll come. Now, that'll probably be somewhat Celtics spin, right? Because because you don't even make that call. You make that call knowing what they're going to ask for, right?
And you want to put that out there so your players know that no, we told the Nets, we're not trading. You guys are too valuable. We're not trading you. That's what.
And it's already been reported that the Nets' first ask was Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown.
Right.
And how I know that's probably true, even though it came from a Celtics-based reporter, no Nets reporter refuted it. No one from the Nets came back and was like, come on, that's ridiculous. We would never ask for that. And that never came out like that. And that almost always does when it's a ridiculous ask on one side. And I think that's the Nets basically saying like, hey, yeah. And you know what? Ask for it, but no, they're going to say no. right? It's just kind of where it goes. It's kind of it's like any kind of negotiation. You start high and then you come down, on anything, and then you figure it out from there. But yeah, I don't think I'm now to the point where I don't know that a Durant deal gets done before the start of camp, start of the season. This probably drags some into the year. We'll see. Let's find out. And right now they're kind of doing a staring contest. It's trade me or fire guys, and we'll see where it goes. And then maybe I'll come back and that. And I don't think Joe Tsai wants to kind of give Durant and Kyrie that kind of power over the team anymore. And so let's see.
Speaking of Kevin Durant, despite Mark Stein's report and Mark just said, look, I was told by somebody at Summer League that Durant would rather retire than go back to the Nets. Durant responded to it, basically said, I'm not retiring. So, which I don't think anybody really looked at it and said, oh my gosh, Kevin Durant is retiring. I thought it was more an indicator of how dissatisfied he was with the Nets in terms of, a response to this idea that he might actually soften his stance and say, well, okay, I will play for the Nets again. I looked at it as, instead of, oh my gosh, Kevin Durant is really going to retire, as Kevin Durant has no interest whatsoever in playing for the Nets, and that's not going to change next week, next month, or whatever.
Yeah, and like, I'm glad you said too, because Mark also said in his piece, like, he doesn't think that it would ever get to that point either. And then Kevin Durant was very clear, like, this, I forget what he said, basically, this is ridiculous, or did he use the term clown show? I don't know, but whatever he said, it's, I'm not retiring. I look at this along the lines of, we've all done this where we're all prone at points to hyperbole.
Sure.
Right. Where you say something and then you say something way over the top. Yeah. Maybe at some point it was like, he'll retire before he'll play for the Nets. I mean, we've heard that, right? We've heard he'll quit before he does this or those kind of things. And I'm with you. I took it more of like, he's not backing down in the next month or so and reporting to camp like everything's fine with that. So I do think if Kevin Durant shows up to play, I don't think he's gonna show up not in shape and not really play and all those. Like, I do think if he shows up to play, he's gonna be there to play. But that's why I think it's probably more likely he just says, "Nah, I'm not coming," because he doesn't need to, and why bother?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I could see happening as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's chat a little bit about Kevin Durant's current teammate, maybe soon former teammate.
Odd, maybe teammate that they never played in a game.
Never
together.
actually played together.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons and 76ers, they reached a settlement. There was the 76ers were withholding money from Ben Simmons while Simmons wasn't playing last season. And that obviously became an issue. Now they've settled on. Now we don't know how much. What was the total? It was like $20 million.
Yeah, it's over 20 million.
And we don't know how much of that Ben Simmons wound up getting back. I wonder if that's something that'll leak out eventually. But this is all going to get wrapped up into a much larger discussion when we get to the next CBA agreement, which is going to be really interesting.
Yeah. This says to me that they even settled, that Simmons may have known that he was going to lose this arbitration hearing, which is very interesting, because then that sets a different kind of tone towards what those negotiations may be. We talked about this ad nauseum in the past. No one should use, I'm having mental health issues if you're not. I don't care how much you don't want to be somewhere that's not. We've come too far with too many people respecting mental health challenges and working with people through them to have people use that as a ploy. And by no means am I saying Ben Simmons was. But it also is, I don't want to see teams basically, oh, you said that, but we're going to arbitration now and we don't have to pay you if someone truly is. So this has the potential to be probably one of the uglier sticking points of this. And it will be likely, it's going to be almost, unfortunately, like when our government is like, hey, we want to fix all the highways. Okay, but we also need money for this too. And they roll it all into the same bill. Right. It's like the two things aren't really related, but that's how we're going to do it. I think it's going to be trade requests plus holdouts, plus mental, like it's all going to get rolled into one big conversation that's probably going to get kind of ugly at times. And then I think ultimately they'll settle and they'll figure it out and they'll meet somewhere that makes sense for everybody. Maybe that's just me being an optimist, but yeah. So we'll see with this. I'm with you. It'll leak out eventually how much he gave back, like whatever you want to look at it on those terms. But yeah, I do kind of let's see where all that goes.
Right. Yeah, I think it will become.
Did you see the graphic? So it's leaked out that I think it's Nets and Pelicans on opening night or like one of their first games of the year. Did you see the thing that was going around Twitter today with the so it's Zion and Simmons? And it'll be Zion. I probably have these slightly wrong, but it was like 470 days since his last game. Simmons is like 420 something days when they actually meet in that opening night, assuming both play, which was kind of like, wow, man, like, yeah, two former number one picks, like that haven't played basketball at that point in like a year and, a year and a third or so. Like, it's kind of crazy when you think about it that way.
That is. I mean, hopefully they're both back out on the floor. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. At the end, that's all I want. I just want to see. I want to see everybody out there playing and at full strength, and off we go.
All right. Last thing for us, Jalen Harris reinstated. Missed last season due to a drug-related suspension, but now back reinstated to the NBA. And we'll see if he can get things back on track from here.
Yeah, people may not even really remember Jalen Harris because of the whole situation that happened with him. But Jalen Harris was somebody that the Toronto Raptors picked up, did the 2021 season. He was on a two-way contract. If we remember, that was the G League bubble season. So the G League season was very impacted. So he only played 7 games in the G League, but there were 7 strong games, 17 and a half points, shot 46% overall, 50% from 3 on 5 attempts per game, a little over 4 rebounds, over a steal, a couple assists per game. And then in very minimal minutes with the Raptors, only 170 minutes, 13 games. If we remember, that was the kind of Raptors like disaster season in Tampa. He played well in those 13 games for them too. 7.4 points per game, 50% shooting, 47% from 3. So kid with some talent, it's a guard with pretty good size, about 6'5". And then, right as last season was wrapping up, we found out he was going to get suspended for a year due to running afoul of the drug process. Now he is back with Toronto in a sense. They control his free agent rights. They have him as a free agent. So we will see, potentially how that plays out down the line, but it's hopefully Jalen Harris has everything right and he's ready to make a return to the NBA, because in the end, that's what we want to see in these situations, right? These guys get their lives on track and we're able to see them get back to being productive members of society.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want to see, and so best of luck to him. Hopefully he's able to get things all set again and can start to realize some of that potential.
And he only needs to look to like a guy like Malik Monk, right? Went through at least semi-similar situation, never got the full year long ban, but missed a large chunk of time with a suspension. And then Malik Monk came back and, seems to be well past those, kind of demons in, his life and moved on with that as well. So hopefully Jalen Harris. And these are not, just for anybody who doesn't understand, these are not minor drug offenses don't trigger a year-long suspension. They can trigger fines and suspensions. These are generally drugs of abuse that are, it's bad. Let's just leave it that way. If you get the full year, or if, God forbid, like Tyreek Evans got the indefinite suspension there. That's which he's also now been reinstated as well, as he was towards the end of last season. So but here we are. Hopefully everything is going to be good to go, and then we go from there.
All right. Well, that about wraps things up for our show today. Make sure you guys do subscribe to the NBA Front Office Show over on our YouTube channel, or if you're listening to the podcast version of this, make sure you follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Till next time. knocked over my mic there at the end.
That's
of the
it, man.
show.
You're already packing up.
That's it.
He's packing up. He's headed on vacation. He's
That's my
done.
way of saying I'm out. I'm on vacation. I literally dropped the
Drop
mic.
the mic. Yeah.
Now I'm heading out on vacation.
Next
See
time
ya.
we see you, he's gonna
Stay
be
safe.
golden brown.
That's
skin
right.
up, and
That's
ready
right.
to go, looking good, and maybe by then we won't have a need to fire the Kevin Cannon anymore. We'll see. I kind of doubt.
Maybe. I doubt it. I doubt
You know
it.
what? Talk to those South Seas Pirates over there, and just
I will.
see if they can get anything going on.
I'll see. I'll see if they can find a way to just tell Kevin Durant, look, I'm the captain now. This needs
That's
to.
it. Yeah,
This needs to happen.
sail up to New York and let them have it a little bit.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
All right. See you, everybody, and stay safe.